Single dad helped a woman every morning. Then her words changed everything in an instant. Every morning, John, a hard-working single dad, left his small apartment before the sun even rose, juggling his demanding job and caring for his little daughter, Lily, with unwavering dedication. Life had never been easy for him, and yet he carried a quiet strength that made even the toughest mornings seem manageable. As part of his routine, he would walk to the local coffee shop to grab breakfast, always carrying Lily in his arms or helping her along the steps, and it was during these walks that he first noticed her. She was a woman, struggling with her groceries, her arms heavy with bags, her expression flustered and tired as if the weight of the world rested on her shoulders. Without a second thought, John rushed over, instinctively balancing Lily on his hip while offering his assistance to lift her bags and open the door for her. At first, she barely looked at him, almost embarrassed by his attention, a faint smile barely touching her lips as if accepting help was a foreign act to her. Yet, day after day, he found himself repeating the gesture, and gradually these quiet acts of kindness became a ritual neither of them spoke about, but both silently acknowledged. The small gestures, holding a door, carrying a bag, greeting her with a smile, or a simple good morning, began to light up her otherwise stressful mornings, and although John never expected anything in return, he found himself looking forward to seeing her each day, drawn to something beyond her struggles, something he could not yet define. There was a depth in her eyes, a sadness that tugged at his heart and made him wonder about the battles she faced behind that composed exterior. Over time, small conversations started to emerge between them, brief exchanges about the weather, the long lines at the coffee shop, or Lily's playful antics that made her laugh despite the early hour. John noticed that her laughter, rare and hesitant at first, began to come more easily, and he realized that even his smallest gestures had begun to matter more than he had imagined. For him, it was simply a part of his morning, a natural way to show humanity and care, yet for her it seemed to bring a sense of hope, a fleeting reminder that someone noticed, that someone cared. As their mornings continued in this quiet rhythm, John could sense a subtle shift in her energy, a softness that replaced her initial guardedness. And though he still did not know the full story behind her weariness, he understood that his simple acts of kindness were becoming a bridge between two strangers, an unspoken connection that hinted at something deeper, a spark of trust and warmth that neither time nor circumstance could easily break. Little did he know that one morning, a few words from her would change everything, making him realize that even the smallest gestures could leave the most profound impact on someone's life. Weeks went by, and the quiet mornings between John, his daughter Lily, and Emma had begun to form a rhythm that felt almost comforting, a small but meaningful thread weaving through their lives. Each day, John would spot Emma struggling with her groceries or balancing her bag while juggling other tasks, and he would instinctively step forward to help, carrying her items, holding the door, or simply offering a smile. Over time, their interactions became more than just brief gestures. They started exchanging small words, tiny snippets of conversation that slowly began to reveal the person behind the tired expression. Emma told him she was a teacher who lived nearby, her voice calm but slightly weary, carrying hints of long days and responsibilities that weighed heavily on her shoulders. Their discussions were simple, often about the weather, the long lines at the coffee shop, or the chaotic mornings that seemed to consume the start of everyone's day. But John found himself cherishing these moments, noticing the way her eyes softened when she laughed at his corny jokes, or the subtle gratitude in her quiet nods and murmurs of thanks. Despite the growing familiarity, there remained a certain distance between them, an invisible barrier that Emma seemed hesitant to cross, as though revealing too much of herself might make her vulnerable. John never pressured her or tried to force a connection. He respected her space and understood that patience was part of the process. Still, curiosity began to grow inside him, a gentle yet persistent question about what kind of challenges had made her morning so difficult. What life experiences had shaped her into a woman who carried such strength quietly, yet also bore her burdens so gracefully. Lily, of course, was oblivious to the deeper emotional layers, but she had taken a liking to Emma, waving enthusiastically every morning and occasionally chattering about her small adventures at home. which always brought a genuine smile to Emma's face. Slowly, John began to notice that the small acts of kindness he performed each morning were doing more than helping her carry bags or open doors. They were creating a spark of light in her day, a sense of comfort and reassurance that perhaps someone noticed, someone cared, and that the world wasn't entirely exhausting or lonely. It became clear to him that what started as simple helpfulness had evolved into connection, a silent understanding that both of them were part of this daily ritual not just out of necessity, but because it had become meaningful. He realized that these mornings were no longer only about routine or duty. They were about creating small moments of joy and human connection that could quietly transform a day, a mindset, even a life. And though John didn't yet know the full story behind Emma's struggles or the depth of her heart, he understood that his consistent presence, his simple gestures, were slowly becoming a source of hope, a gentle reassurance that kindness, when offered without expectation, could ripple through someone's life in ways far greater than he had ever imagined. And he quietly looked forward to each new day, wondering what small surprises it might bring. One morning, as the soft golden light of dawn spilled across the quiet streets, John set out on his usual routine, holding Lily's tiny hand as they walked toward the corner coffee shop, the familiar rhythm of the morning comforting in its consistency. Emma was there, juggling her groceries once again, a slight frown of concentration on her face, and without a second thought, John moved to help her as he always had, lifting a heavy bag while balancing Lily in his other arm. But this morning felt different, a subtle tension in the air that John could not quite place. As he handed her the last of the bags, she stopped abruptly, looking up at him with eyes that were no longer guarded but open, vulnerable, and shimmering with an emotion he hadn't seen before. There was a pause, a fragile silence between them, and then she spoke, her voice soft but quivering, each word weighed with sincerity. "I don't know how to say this, but your kindness has changed my mornings," she confessed, her gaze fixed on his, refusing to look away. John froze for a moment, unsure of how to respond, because he had never expected his simple gestures, carrying groceries, holding doors, offering a smile, to carry such weight. Emma continued, her words flowing with a quiet intensity, revealing layers of struggle and loneliness he had only glimpsed through her tired expressions and brief smiles. "I've been going through a rough time and I didn't think anyone noticed. But you made me feel human again," she whispered, a hint of relief threading through her voice. John felt a sudden warmth spread through his chest, a mixture of surprise, humility, and something deeper he could not name. He realized that what had seemed trivial to him, acts performed out of habit and simple decency, had actually been lifelines, small beacons of light cutting through the shadows of her days. The vulnerability in her eyes mirrored the quiet gratitude in her words, and in that instant, John understood the profound impact of consistent kindness, the way small, thoughtful gestures could ripple far beyond their immediate purpose, touching hearts and restoring hope where it had begun to fade. Lily, sensing the gravity of the moment, tugged gently at his sleeve, her innocent curiosity adding a tender layer to the scene, and John instinctively smiled, feeling a connection not only with Emma but with the quiet power of everyday human compassion. He thought about all the mornings he had offered help without expecting anything in return, all the brief nods, smiles, and carried bags, and he realized that this simple consistency, this unwavering presence, had quietly transformed someone's life, something he could never have predicted. Emma's words hung in the crisp morning air, filling the space with meaning, a confirmation that human connection, even in its smallest forms, could leave lasting impressions, could heal and inspire. John felt a surge of gratitude himself, a recognition that life's most profound moments often arrive in quiet, unexpected ways, and that sometimes showing up, caring, and being present was enough to change the course of someone's day, or even their life, forever. From that day on, the mornings took on a new feeling, a subtle shift that neither John nor Emma could ignore, as if the rhythm of their lives had changed in ways both small and profound. Emma began to open up more, sharing little pieces of her life, the struggles she had carried silently, and the challenges that had made each day feel heavier than the last. She spoke of long nights spent grading papers, of moments of loneliness after long hours at work, and of worries that seemed to multiply with every responsibility she carried. John listened with patience and care, never judging, never offering unsolicited advice, simply being there as a steady presence, a friend who cared deeply without expecting anything in return. The bond between them grew stronger with each shared conversation, each quiet smile, each act of understanding that required no words at all. Lily, sensing the warmth between them, became an even greater bridge in their mornings, her laughter and playful energy infusing their routine with a lightness that neither of them had anticipated. John realized that these moments, once ordinary and simple, had become the foundation for something extraordinary, a reminder that consistent kindness, no matter how small, could leave a lasting imprint on someone's heart. He thought back to the early days when he had merely carried her groceries or held doors open, unaware that these small gestures had been quietly building trust, hope, and a sense of connection. Now, watching Emma smile more freely, laugh more openly, and share her thoughts without hesitation, he understood the power of human connection and the unexpected ways it could transform lives. Over time, their mornings became a tapestry of shared experiences, a routine enriched with warmth, care, and genuine companionship. There were moments of quiet reflection, moments of joy when Lily tumbled out of the apartment with uncontainable energy, and moments of vulnerability when Emma confided things she had never told anyone before. John realized that helping someone without expecting anything in return was not just an act of decency. It was a bridge that brought people together, a bridge that could lead to love, understanding, and mutual respect. Slowly, their friendship blossomed into something deeper, a connection that went beyond simple gestures and polite conversation, a bond forged through shared presence, empathy, and the unwavering knowledge that someone was always there. Lily's laughter became the soundtrack to these mornings, filling the air with a joy that made the early hours feel less like a chore and more like a shared adventure, a celebration of simple human kindness. What had started as small acts of helpfulness had grown into a story of connection, love, and hope, a reminder that even the smallest gestures could ripple through life in profound ways. John understood finally that kindness never goes unnoticed, and that by showing up, caring, and offering support without expectation, he had not only transformed someone else's world but had created a space for happiness, trust, and new beginnings to flourish in all of their lives.